good idea. If you, because he doesn't have a way to really have a timer except for to do this constantly, and I don't even. Do you have a watch on? Oh, never mind.
I have my laptop.
Look,
I also have a.
Why I'm not coming back here tonight?
Okay, so we're all on now so that we can go in order.
I need to
given the questions previously so that they can be answered. But also, in case for some reason we lose them for a bit during the question, they know who was supposed to go next and what question was, so we have to go in order. That way, instead of asking us to repeat more precious time, we only have 3 minutes to they can just get straight to answer the question they were. So everyone goes on. We're all lining up. Yes, we're all very excited.
If we could, let's try to keep it down here shortly, and also, if you would, silence your phones if you're not already. We don't have any extraneous noise. It would help. Thank you.
All right.
Maybe stem on your eyes.
2 hours going back.
All right. Yeah. They were lucky that they're shooting right on the handhelds.
I'm going to start talking in about 3 minutes. We got memories on. It squelches. Remember to turn squelch open.
Yep. Squelch is open. I just turned the volume.
Yeah, sounds great. Y'all good on the backup radio? Everyone.
I'm not totally sure. It was how loud to make it.
How loud do you want to do the audio?
Is that good enough? Probably. I think it's probably good enough. We can rotate a little bit more.
I'll just go squelch it for now. Just let the volume stay.
Okay. I just want to see where you put the volume.
Yes.
What time is it?
AOS is expected at 11:32 and 21 seconds.
Okay. Yes. So I'm doing a little script about in 3 minutes, and then we'll start calling about 11:31. We'll start calling about that.
And then just silence my phone.
Already done.
Hey, Ruth.
Yes.
Can you ask if they can silence the
Yes.
phones? Just thought about it.
Yep.
Hey Jackson.
Hey
Think
everyone,
Coda.
we'll get started in a couple minutes, but as a pre-check, please make sure that all of your phones are silenced so we don't have any ringing cell phones issues during the contact. Also make sure that you're off the Wi-Fi so we have as much bandwidth as possible for stuff we're working on. And then also, since it's a ham radio camp, please make sure that the radios are off as well. And watches. All the smart devices.
What's up?
It's done. Translate.
I told him a bunch of we have a server called Coda down there, similar to YOTA, just on Facebook. And I had made an announcement previously about this whole thing, and just being interviewing, so everyone's reminded of us.
Exactly. Just a tiny bit. I can't see it from where I'm at. Yes. All right. Everybody inside? Ready? Okay.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do a brief just intro to what the ARISS contact is, how it's working, before we get started with calling the ISS. So for those on the live stream, my name is Ruth Willett. My amateur radio call sign is KM4LAO. I'm YOTA Camp Assistant Director and also the YOTA host for this contact. We are so excited for this opportunity to get to do a contact, and we're welcoming everyone both live and online for our radio experiment. YOTA has done ARISS contacts before, but this is the first time we've done a direct contact, so we're really pumped to see how it all goes, and fingers crossed. As a quick shout out, we're really grateful for the Denver Radio Club for helping us host this event. Lyle K0ZNV for his station that we're using as a primary station, all the volunteers for camp that are making this possible, and of course all of our amazing campers, some of whom are asking questions today. So before we get too much into contact specifics, I wanted to read off a little bit of intro about YOTA Camp that we submitted to ARISS before the contact and was given to our astronaut. And for those online, could be of help. A little bit of introduction for what we're doing here. So thank you so much to ARISS for this opportunity. Youth on the Air YOTA is a summer camp that's a week-long event for young amateur radio operators ages 15 to 25 in North Central and South America. We also have several exchange campers from Europe this year as we build different connections around the globe. So 2025 is the 5th year of operation for YOTA Camp, and really we're privileged to connect young people in amateur radio communications and lots of STEM activities. This year brings an exciting crop of many new campers ready to build worldwide friendships and expand their ham radio knowledge. So during this week-long camp in Denver, we have operated on high-frequency radio from portable and permanent stations. We've built electronic kits for a variety of different levels. We've launched high-altitude balloons. We've learned how to log contacts for a variety of situations. We've operated on amateur radio satellites. We've operated from local parks and summits on the air. We have visited the WWV radio station yesterday, which was a lot of fun, and explored the general Denver area around here. We're really privileged to be hosting our 4th ARISS contact with a new group of campers getting to ask questions every year. And of course, learn how connected amateur radio is with life on the International Space Station. So through this contact, we hope to use our skills to have an amazing conversation with a current astronaut, understand their life and work on the ISS a little better, and inspire campers to take on the skills they've learned from this contact to better pursue their passions after camp is completed. So next, I wanted to give a little throwback with a great intro video that ARISS shows before every contact, and you'll see in a minute why I couldn't resist showing it. The ham radio ops in the room will know much of this information, but have fun.
Hi, my name is Ruth.
And my name is Chris.
You must be pretty excited to talk directly with astronauts on the International Space Station today. While we're waiting for the space station to come over your portion of the sky, let's talk a little bit about how it's going to happen. Of course, Mission Control is in contact with astronauts all the time, using a big radio with lots of fancy equipment.
However, we're going to be using something very different today. We are going to use ham or amateur radio to talk directly to the International Space Station.
When most people hear the word radio, they think of a music radio station, but it's so much more than that. Radio actually refers to the unseen energy that transmits all sorts of signals using electromagnetic waves. At first, people learned how to send signals like Morse code, and then they discovered that you can send so much more, like data, computer signals, and even TV.
Maybe you don't realize it, but you use radio every day. Maybe you watched the TV this morning, or you texted your friends, or maybe even you checked social media like Twitter or Instagram.
Let's travel back to space for a minute. Since the beginning of the space age, humans have sent many spacecraft out into the universe. These range from the Hubble Space Telescope, orbiting the Earth daily, and the Curiosity rover exploring Mars. We've even sent a long-distance messenger, the Voyager 1, who has traveled outside of our solar system.
Whether it's capturing a great picture of a far-off galaxy or conducting experiments on the space station, radio has to do with all of these. And today, you're going to be using ham radio. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is ham radio?
Amateur or ham radio is a service and a hobby where operators can talk with people around their neighborhoods, their cities, their country, and even around the world. Amateur radio operators require a radio license from the government. They're not that hard to get. I have one. My call sign is KM4LAO.
And mine is KD8YVJ. Our call signs are a way of identifying who we are to other operators. This lets everyone know that we have the proper license to using the radios.
As amateur radio operators, or hams as we are often called, we can talk with others about basically whatever we want, often science or some new radio gadget that we are interested in.
Let's focus back to the space station and your contact today. Many of the astronauts and cosmonauts aboard the space station are licensed ham radio operators. That's why your operators today can contact them. The people here, as well as the astronauts, are licensed to talk to each other, and you are allowed to talk over to their radio.
For our conversation today, we'll need an amateur radio station on the ground, either in this location or somewhere else around the world. We'll also need a radio in the space station.
NA1SS. You can hear the calls coming. This is November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra, the International Space Station, over.
On the space station, the radio transceiver is connected to an amateur radio antenna mounted on the outside. One of these antennas will be used today during our contact.
For our side of the contact, we need a good-sized antenna, a signal amplifier, something to make our signal stronger, and a rotator for turning our antenna. We have to keep our antenna pointed right at the International Space Station. And remember, it's moving across the sky and fast.
To aim the antenna properly, we need to track the path of the space station exactly. NASA uses complex systems to track the path of the space station and other orbiting objects.
The satellite tracking program we are using works out a complicated set of mathematics to provide the orbital location of the space station moment by moment as it moves through space. This information is sent to the computer that controls the antenna rotator, which moves the antenna to follow the space station. Maybe some of you have seen or worked with robotics. That's pretty cool stuff. And just like you can program a robot where to go, what to do, and how to get there, you can also program a computer to tell an antenna how to track the space station across the sky.
You know, it took a lot of planning to get this contact. Several weeks ago, the ARISS operations team had to figure out when the space station's orbit would pass over this location. Then, they had to talk with the planners at NASA's Johnson Space Center. The crew's time is pretty full, so they were able to find a time that could work for the crew members' schedules. Once they found times that would work both in space and here on the ground, the host organized this contact. And in just a few minutes, you'll be hearing and talking to the astronauts.
Well, it's almost time for your contact. It will be exciting, so good luck with it.
All right, we have another couple minutes, so I wanted to give you some info we got this week on who our astronauts going to be. So, as you can see, the ISS is currently traveling at 28,000 kilometers per mile on a northwest to southeast heading, coming to pass over Denver. And as you saw in these videos, these contacts are made possible from ARISS, the amateur radio on the International Space Station, which is a consortium of ham radio volunteers from 9 nations that develop and operate the amateur radio station on the International Space Station. For our contact, we're using two 9700s that have for the primary and backup stations connected to antennas outside. So our contact today is going to be with Nicole Ayers. That's KJ7GWI. Wow, KJ7GWI. She launched on SpaceX Crew 10 this past March. She's actually a Colorado native, and she's on her first space flight, and she'll be operating NA1SS on board the International Space Station. So we're really excited to see how this turns out, but definitely remember it's an experiment and we'll see what happens. Campers, make sure to enjoy this incredible experience. I don't know, I'll never forget the first time I got to talk with an astronaut back in 2021 during my first contact. And as our ARISS technical mentor has told me many times, don't forget to say over, because that's what they'll be listening for. So the ISS should be coming over in about a minute and a half. We're gonna turn it over to Lyle to start calling the ISS.
Antenna's moving. Here we go. All right. Wait for antenna to stop. November Alpha 1, Sierra Sierra, this is Whiskey 0, Yankee, over.
Yankee, this is November Alpha 1, Sierra Sierra, I've got you.
Hi, this is Franco, LU3EFH. What is the most exciting activity you've gotten to do on board? Over.
I think the most exciting thing has been the spacewalk that we did about a month and a half ago. So not necessarily on board, but Anne McLean and I went outside and fixed a couple things on the space station and moved an antenna and got us ready for more vehicles. Over.
Hi, this is Hope, ND2L. Which aspect of your research has proven most challenging, and how do you think you have or could have prepared for them? Over.
Well, Hope, I think we're our own phlebotomists up here, so we have to draw our own blood. So we have to be pretty good at it, and I think more practice would make us better, but I don't know if I want to practice more. Over.
Hi, this is Chris, KI5ZNS. What event in your life led to you deciding to become an astronaut? Over.
Hey Chris, I've wanted to do this since I was little. I don't know exactly why, but I've always loved space, and I've always loved the sky, and I've always wanted to be an astronaut, and that's just kind of the path that I took. Over.
Hi, this is Mallory, KN6PHG. What do you spend most of your time doing in space? Over.
That one came in broken. Was that the, how do you spend most of your time? Over.
Abram, over.
Okay, so yeah, we're all over daily life. Like you are the exercise, but most of our work time is spent doing science and then a little bit of maintenance. So we are the scientists, the plumbers, and the electricians up here. Over.
Hi, this is Jack, W9RFT. How often do you do amateur radio on the ISS? Over.
I'm kind of something students like you guys, probably once a week or every other week, so that we can do other random contacts as we please. Over.
Hi, this is Aiden, VE7VCK. What did it feel like being in space for the first time? Over.
Aiden, it was absolutely amazing. We don't have a good enough word in the English language, but I kind of felt like a superhero flying around. Over.
Hi, this is Ridley, KQ4PGU. Could poultry like chickens or geese be kept in space during long travel as a source of extra food?
You know, I think we could keep poultry here and birds, but the biggest problem problem is containment. You know, they're kind of dirty, and you have to figure out a way to take care of all their waste. And so that would be a pretty complex problem to solve. Over.
Hi, this is Franco, LU3EFH. What were your expectations about living in space before your first flight, and were they fulfilled? Over.
Oh man, I don't know if I had expectations. You know, I thought it'd be really cool, and I thought we would work really hard, and it has exceeded everything I could have imagined. The view's great, the crew and the company are great, and the work is amazing. Over.
Hi, this is Hope, ND2L. Are there any routine jobs on the ISS that you don't like to do? Over.
Hey, well, I mean, every weekend we have to do housekeeping, so someone vacuums, somebody cleans up and wipes things down, somebody does the organizing. So just like on Earth, we have chores up here, which can be a little mundane sometimes. Over.
Hi, this is Chris, KI5ZNS. What is it like to have the sun rise and set so many times in 24 hours? Over.
Oh man, I absolutely love watching the sunrise and the sunset so often. You know, I love to sit in the cupola and get some sun and watch the sun go right behind the Earth. You get to see some amazing colors, and you get to see some really interesting cloud heights and depths. Over.
Hi, this is Mallory, KN6PHG. What does it smell like on the space station? Over.
Hey Mallory, so it's got all sorts of different smells. It kind of depends on what we're doing for the day. You know, it's very clean up here. We disinfect everything often, so it kind of smells a little clean. Depends on the node you're in. If you're right next to the toilet or somebody working out, there are other smells. And then today we opened up a different hatch, and there was a whole new smell based on the contents of the module that we opened. And then if we open the GEM airlock, we get to smell space, which is kind of like a cross between metal and burnt toast. Over.
Hi, this is Jack, W9RFT. What is the best part of being on the ISS? Over.
Oh man, so many things. I think that the science that we do is amazing and rewarding, and we've learned so much about Earth, but the view is also amazing. You know, we get to see the aurora, we get to see natural disasters and storms, and we get to see the beauty of every single country here. It's pretty awesome. Over.
Hi, this is Aiden, VE7VCK. What is the coolest ongoing experiment on the ISS right now? Oval.
Actually, I think the coolest one we've got going right now is called Bring Shear to Drop. It's a study about amyloids or protein crystal growth and how they shear at the water and air interface. And the things we're going to learn from it will inform how we create medicine to help with cancer and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Over.
Hi, this is Ridley, KQ4PGU. How do rogue radio waves from space outside the solar system affect communication? Over.
Hey, really, that's a great question. I think that, you know, the communication in terms of like the radio and the satellites, not super effective, but sometimes computers or other electronics get hit with radiation, so we call them radiation hits, and it can kind of like send the computer into a blue screen of death sometimes, and so we gotta restart it or reboot it. Over.
Hi, this is Franco, LU3EFH. What do you think you'll miss the most about space once you're back on Earth? Over.
I think floating, the ability to fly through a module doing aileron rolls is one of my favorite things. I think I'm going to miss that. Over.
Hi, this is Hope, ND2L. What's something you hope to never forget from your spaceflight? Over.
I actually hope I never forget all the laughs and the memories I've shared with my crewmates. We have a great time. I've got, you know, 6 best friends up here, and we laugh until we cry sometimes. So I hope I never forget that. Over.
This is Whiskey Zero Yankee. All of our questions are complete. Thank you. Over.
Thank you, and hello to my home state of Colorado. I really appreciated all of the curious questions. I love that you guys are thinking about the things that you're thinking about. And I would say that enjoy the rest of your camp there over the summer. Enjoy Colorado, and never stop exploring. Over.
73 from Whiskey Zero Yankee.
73.
Holy hell.
Did it. Wow.
Everybody breathe. Please breathe.
Yeah.
Still have a half mask left.
How much was up there?
Yeah. We did it, y'all. Yeah.
Holy crap.
So, yeah.
All right, let's go.
We're done.
It really was.
Yeah.
It worked. Oh my god. All right.
Please throw this away, right?
Yeah. Okay. Roll, go.
Campers, the ones who ask questions, can you come back here? I want to get photos. All right.
Sent to park.
Oh my god, I'm freezing. Alright, I'm here. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god.
That was probably
Okay.
some of the best.
Yeah.
Alright, so
Great job. I'm so proud of you.
Okay, we want a group photo with everybody who asked questions. And then I want a group photo with the whole radio team. And then a group photo with everybody. So,
Want to do it next to the antenna?
Yes. We could do it with the trackers in the background.
Yeah, do it with the trackers in the background.
Good.
Hey, Ray, good to clear stream.
but yes, yes. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, as long as like the,
By the way,
projector isn't in the way.
what is 28,000 kilometers per mile?
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah.